Hey, good morning. This is Ujval. I'm here on the Vedic Transmission, the biblical mission. So in case you guys don't know what the Bible is, it is a introduction to Veda. To Veda means ancestral knowledge. Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, the Vedas, the actual, 4 Vedas we have. It was one, but they split them up to 4. So, here we are. And we're going to do, I guess we'll do Gita. Because, alright, let's start with this. This is the book. If you haven't gotten it, it's the Geo-Negative axis, Codes of Earth's Creational System. Written by Uddhav Samanik. Okay. So we're going to pick a random page. 62. Okay. It's page 62 here. Negative axis rather is doing the corresponding honor of hiding the gesture or emotion of that person. When a person then makes their extensive existence a gesture of life in an ordinance that is a posture, they are making GNA strands far and long in the world of actuation. So what that means is that actually what we're doing, the light point of everything, right? Like when there is an action, bing, like, let's say if I want to raise my hand to show somebody something, that's an action. So once that action's completed, we're making GNA strands, because that action sends out a signal to another person. Another person looks. Now we got several people looking in one direction. That's an action. Bing! So that's how that works. So when a person then makes their existence a gesture of life in order instead as a posture, they are making GNA strands far and long in the world of actuation. This is why the significance of a sentient brain can become one's existence, thus making them pronounced to a higher cause as with the renounced king of others, who use their existence for the betterment of the whole or substrate the originated us, which is light and consciousness of feeling and structures. To not try to subdue, but co-join and rejoice is in the self and all being one with it, naturally by constitution by GNA, thus making them pronounced to a higher cause as with the renounced king and others who use their existence for the betterment of the whole or substrate, the originated us, which is light and consciousness of feeling and structures, to not try to subdue, but co-join and rejoice in the self and all being one with it naturally by constitution by GNA. So that saying is, when you're doing something in light, that's when it's real. That's when it's actuating. Before that, it could just be a disturbance here. It could be a hindrance. It could be bothersome. It could be destructional. And this is what it is, the renounced king. So the problem is that we have kings that want everybody to renounce but them. They want the most significant, the most autonomous with energy to have nothing so they can control that. And they want everything for them. And even plundering the Brahmins, even plundering the people that they're supposed to find light in, the ones that are bringing light into the world. So the problem is that many people are also bringing light to the world, but they won't accept light. So then their light becomes half-baked. It becomes a process through its middle point, meaning you have to find where this guy is wrong to get the right. You understand? So like if somebody's preaching there, and they got good points, they're quoting Bible, they're quoting this, they got some history going down, and then, but still their message is contaminated because the simple thing of them not being able to accept higher counsel or authority. So you got many like that now. Many are televangelists, They'll say, "Oh, I am. Oh no, he is." So we got 10 reincarnations, and there's no servants, not one faithful servant who's just trying to be a good servant, and actually that's all he should be doing or she should be doing. So that's the problem with that. And this is a verse that came on its own accord. Now we did read the Traposphere, so I'm going to go to a next one since I get to finish that page. The betterment of the whole or substrate that originated us, which is light and consciousness of feeling and structures. So it's also saying, go towards light. If you can't be, let's say, if you can't fully understand things, the more you go towards light, it'll help you. A lot of people have problems with surrender. If you surrender and become a devotional person, knowledge right away starts to reveal everything to you. Every day. You won't be able to stop thinking. Put it that way. So, you could do it that way. If not, if you don't like to go up to sadhus or spiritual people, and you have your reservations, because you like Tammy Bakerfield or whatever what these names are these days, then you should report to light as much as often, meaning the good in society, give in charity, do something good. Then the energy, the light, the knowledge can correspond with you. They can make arrangements. They're not, you think this government, that government is making arrangements. How many people have you seen get vast wealth and completely go down with it? Die, families die, everything, destruction. Drug use, sexual addiction, all these things, they just go completely downward and destroy their lives. Because why? But all that money, they never went to light. They even stole from light. That's the problem in the world today. So you have a process where people are becoming less righteous and becoming more greedy, sadistic, and maniacal. That's a serious problem. This is what everybody up there is worried about. What I've been trying to explain to them. For them, because I don't, I can't really explain to them. Can't convince demons all the time. So let's go to definitive life cycle on page 84. Now if we analyze male and female existence on Earth more to the definitive principles beyond the fact they have a negation gap in the structure of domination, as it is to begin with, a crossed negated spectrum that the female creates. But traditionally, many societies have men at the obligation of ruling. So beyond the analysis of mundane activities, we can try to understand using GNA as our platform to identify what kind of process is actually occurring. The GNA biological setup of the woman are standard double base negative. Men are a single base negative having the male genital function as a positive, being not less of a space in function but covering space. It also is a negative reactor, being it is from a whole and has to function from a negative in order for it to work. Women on the bottom of them have two portals of holes mainly and dispensing a third, urethra. One is evacuating, and that makes it recreate itself into its conscious exchange. As a person passes through in the single negative anus, they are relieving previous bile and blood and other things, and internally to shed them into something new. They are accustomed to being, which is a negation process. The natural flow of life to want something ahead is caught in the exchange of the body, as anus and release cycle in this matter below us. The women also have the vagina too, which has a urine hole and the vaginal hole to dispense and also allow in. The release sequence is so evident and made sequential with women and their menstruation cycles. The function of all these, however, carry ultra-sensitive nature, allowing sensation to be parts of its natural function. The vagina extends largely a natural function, having babies and having sex. It also has some of the most capacity to emit rays of magnetic sexual energy, creating sensation throughout the body from the neuron response in the heart of the brain ultimately. Again, is a double base function that is not from itself, therefore it is negative. So that's a great point. Why is everything negative? Everything in this planet is negative. Some things are not relative. For instance, let's see what's not relative. Okay, this chair right here, right? This wood is not relative to his existence. The only thing that's relative to it is that it's standing like it once was, because it's made out of this little table here, this coffee table. It's made out of wood. So the tree was standing. That's the only thing that remains that's relative. The rest of it is irrelative. So not everything is relative. That's the breaking point. That's where you can't stand next to negativity, negtar GNA. That's where things disassemble, they break cord, and avalanche. The truth comes. So you can hold truth as much as you like, but eventually truth will be set free. That has to happen. Now, how that happens is your choice. But we have Bhagavad Gita, so we can now see what the Lord wants us to hear. Purport, as stated, the 7th chapter, those who are trying to elevate themselves to the platform of spiritual realizations are not ordinary men. They are superior to millions and millions of ordinary men who have no knowledge of spiritual realizations. But one of those actually trying to understand their spiritual situation, one who can come to the understanding that Krishna is the Supreme Personality Godhead, the proprietor of everything, the unborn is the most spiritually realized person. And that stage only, when one has fully understood Krishna's supreme position, can one be free completely of all sinful reactions. Whoa. So they're saying, you got to go to jail. You got to go here. You got to go there. You're not good over here. They're saying that to everybody on a constant basis. Even in their own race. They want to put the same people that even look like them. So, there's a problem, a dilemma, that discord. Society wants to pretend like they are better, or they've done better, or they're more important, or they are the winners. When we see these days, they just steal people's content mainly and have not much to say. So what this is saying is that Krishna, God, who came as Jesus, let's say with the Son, the Son of Him, what is it? A ligament? No. Yeah, like a ligament, right? A part. He came as a part of Him. So, he's saying that those who are superior are the ones in spiritual realization. We have to realize that, because if you don't have it, you don't have it. That makes you lesser than one who does. So if somebody has knowledge, you're supposed to go to them and give yourself like this. To what extent, right? They can be a cheater, so you have to be careful. But that's the process of knowledge, he's saying. So those men become superior. So how do you become superior in this world? Attain knowledge. Knowledge is king. You heard that term? They have you chasing wealth for its pleasures. You already have those pleasures. You have probably more than them. Actually, when you get rich in this world, now they set themselves up. See, Maya always has a trick. Maya's a very tricky lady. They think because they have all this power and wealth and ability to just move things, right? That they're controlling Maya. They have the best end. But really they're paying the most. They have to deal, they have the most stress, the most management, the most problems. Everything you see in these people. Not even a day goes in their life where they don't have one problem. Or everything is correct. There's always a bicker, there's always a challenge, there's always a frustration. And then how they do, though, is the rich laugh it off and they say, no, we're not going to deal with our problems anymore. We're going to give them to somebody else. And that's what the problem is. They're not taking responsibility a lot of the time. So how do you become great? Not by their methods. By attaining realization. Then God will say, you are millions of times better. Why do you want something that is temporary and you already have? First rate, you know what Trump said, first rate is the best. So you better, you know what that means? That means that you don't have to shell out. You get it. And as you see, those who are not wealthy, they're usually the ones. If the honey in this earth is sex life, right? So they're the ones, you'll find out. They're the ones that are getting without money. They're the ones that are getting it real. Girls are actually falling in love with them, not their money. So that's the trick of Maya, the illusory energy. When you think you have, you think you bought it, you think you figured it out, you got the happiness, but you didn't. So, the Lord is different from the living entity who are taking birth and dying due to material attachment. The conditioned souls are changing their bodies But his body is not changeable. Even when he comes to this material world, he comes as the same unborn. Therefore, in the 4th chapter it is said that the Lord, by his internal potency, is not under the inferior material energy, but is always the superior energy. So the supreme avatari, Krishna, the one who makes all avatar, even the one in the spiritual world, he comes as himself once in a while. But he doesn't take birth. Vishnu takes birth, not Krishna. Krishna appears. Very different. Very mysterious. Isn't it? It's just to show that he is not under this energy. And he won't be. He says it in his book. He's not going to be involved. This is your project. Right? As you see all the leaders, they always have a project. They're always recreating, refabricating, refurbishing the truth. That's their favorite talent, to put on their voice and act very serious. And even 10,000 years ago, it was the Baloo-Baloos, and they ran the country. Yeah. Well, that's the problem. They don't have authentic knowledge. The only authentic knowledge that we have of God and his pastimes are the ones in the East. And that's why Jesus pointed to the East. That's why the old texts reveal that too. That he was a man of Krishna. He spoke of Krishna. He was vegetarian and spoke of reincarnation as well. Everything that's found in Veda. So that is the truth. Whatever they're feeding you is a lie. And this is why many Zayo, they don't like Jesus. They don't like Krishna. Because they don't want truth. They want material energy, maya, to make up their own truth. They don't want to see where can I fit into this category of Krishna's service. Even if it's low, even if it's high. Fit me in because I know it's going places. This material energy is a trickery. It's not real. It's meant to disturb you. It's meant to draw your attention into things that are not real, and therefore you become tricked. So, you must always heed the warning of the Brahmins, and you must find the most astute of the Brahmins. Because if you don't, you're always going to get disinformation. If you have the ability and the availability to go before those who are top realized, who answer all the questions, and you don't, then you're just a culprit. You're part of the crime. To keep the facade, to keep the maya. And you are going nowhere. Namaste, Hare Krishna.